Aloha. Aloha, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Let's see. Online, we have board members Randall, Darlene, Andrew Keenan, and in person, myself, Raynell, as well as Catalina. All right, we'd like to start off with the Honolulu Fire Department.
Good evening. Captain Kihalau from the Pālolo Fire Station on First Watch. The statistics for this month, we had 2 activated fire alarms. As far as medical emergencies, we had 43 medicals, 3 motor vehicle crash or collisions, 1 mountain rescue that we went on, and 1 hazardous material response. And as far as our safety tips for this month, with the holidays coming up, it's about seasonal decorations. With the holiday season just around the corner, consider fire-resistant, non-combustible decorations. Choose only Underwriters Laboratory-approved electrical decorations and follow manufacturer's instructions for installation and load. Use lights that are in good repair. Always turn off lights before leaving your home or going to bed. Do not overload power strips, surge protectors, and extension cords. And finally, never leave candles unattended. Secure lighters and matches out of reach from children. And that's it as far as tips. Any questions for HFD?
Board members, any questions online? Public? I think we're good.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you, guys. Next up, we'd like to call on the Honolulu Police Department.
Good evening. We with an unauthorized entry into motor vehicles at 6. Total cost for service, $5,864. And with Halloween coming up, of course, we're going to emphasize pedestrian safety as always. So for pedestrian safety, please make eye contact with drivers to ensure that they see you. Be especially careful of vehicles that are turning at intersections. Drivers may be looking out for other vehicles instead of pedestrians. Do not walk behind a vehicle that has their reverse lights on. And tips for drivers, look out for pedestrians who may be hidden from view by other vehicles that have stopped, and anticipate the difficulties of the elderly or young children who are crossing the street.
Mahalo for that. Does anyone have any questions? Board members, public? Mahalo, Lieutenant. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
Oh.
Next up, we have the Board of Water Supply.
Good evening. Dominic Diaz with the Honolulu Board of Water Supply. Let's see. Last month, we did have 1 main break. It was a 4-inch water line fronting 1835 10th Avenue. So that line was repaired. Currently, we are still waiting the completion of the Waimau Homestead 8-inch water line installation. All the work is done. It's just pending final chlorination and activation of the mains. Once that project is finished, a different contractor will be mobilizing to start the Pālolo Water Systems Part 3 waterline project. And this is sort of in the back of the valley, 10th Ave around to Pālolo Ave, near Carlos Long Place and the other smaller streets in that area. 2 months ago, board member Hack asked about the impacts to the Pālolo Chinese home. So I did speak to our construction group and our communications office, and the contractor from the onset of the project will be in communication with Pālolo Chinese home as to the schedule, because there would be a temporary shutdown when the service to Pālolo Chinese Home is being connected to the new water lines. So they will make sure to coordinate that shutdown so that they're able to, bring water wagons and alternative sources of water and make sure there are any other accommodations needed will be met. So as the project progresses, once it starts, I will continue to update the board on the status of that project. Lastly, just a general announcement. Everyone's probably noticed it's been really hot. It's been really dry. We've had a little bit of rain the last 2 days, but for the most part, we've had an extended period of less rain than normal. So the board is asking, and you may have heard our manager on the radio, if you listen to the radio at all, asking residents to reduce water consumption by 20% if possible. We have enough water. It's not a dire situation right now, but never knowing how long these droughts last, how hot it is, it's just the demand is increasing because of the heat and the dry weather. And so we want to make sure that our systems are reliable into the future. So any efforts to reduce water consumption, conserve water, greatly appreciated. We have information on how you can conserve water at our website, www.boardofwatersupply.com. And there's tips there, all the usual things: shorter showers, water your yards in the early mornings and the evenings if you have to, use control nozzles on your hoses, don't let the water run, and make sure you check your homes for leaks. There's tips in there how to go throughout your home and check toilets for leaks and things like that. So all that said, I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply at this time.
Mahalo for that information. Very helpful. Any questions on, Board Member Hack?
You're muted.
Board Member Hack, did you have a question? We can't hear you. You're muted. Can we try one more time? Unfortunately, we still can't hear you. We still can't hear you, but did you want to put your question in the chat box or call it in? Okay. Sorry about that. Does anyone else have any questions or? Nope. Okay. Thank you so much for that information. Very helpful and good tips. Let's hope that our winter season with the rain comes along soon.
Yes, we're praying for rain.
Yes.
Doing my rain dance. Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, now we have board business. Is there a motion to approve minutes? Oh, I'm sorry. I do apologize. We're one short for quorum. Yes, we're skimming through the onlines and we unfortunately do not have enough for quorum. We're going to defer the minute approvals for next month, as well as the filling of vacancies, but we can mention it just in case for next month. So we have one at large, one for sub-district 1, and 2 seats for sub-district 2. So just in case anyone is interested for next month. And then that goes, sorry. Okay. Sorry about that. So we are going to mention the, okay. We do have one discussion on the minutes, and that is the agenda for Departments of Parks and Recreation letter. It is for feedback on dog parks. So we were one of the parks, Pālolo Valley District Park, as well as Waimau Slide area was identified as a park, possibly, that does not currently have any dog privileges. So if there's any feedback or concerns even that anyone wanted to share, we can discuss that.
Hi, Chair. Zach.
Hi.
Um, was there any clarification of whether or not it was an on-leash versus off-leash dog park that they're proposing?
So it's either one.
Either one.
Yes, either one. So I believe they were just trying to start the discussion
Mhm.
of seeing if we were interested in having Pālolo Valley District Park as a dog approved park.
Mhm. Yeah, I think the community would be up for it. I do see a lot of dogs walking around the neighborhood. Just something that we would want to probably consider is the size of the park, because if it takes up green space, it would take away from some of the field that we already have. Um, but I think, with anything, the most important thing is probably establishing the rules of the dog park, if it's off leash or on leash, and making sure the community knows about it. I would be in support of a dog park.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any concerns or feedback on that? Okay. Okay. If anyone does have additional concerns or inputs, feedback, then next month would be the last month to submit that. Okay. Moving on, we are going to presentations, and we do have Liam Chin online. And that is for the re-imaging public safety in Hawaii.
Yeah, and Josh Frost is co-presenting with me. So he's going
Awesome.
to go ahead and start out.
Perfect. Thank you.
I don't know if there's a
Go
way
ahead.
to make that full screen would be wonderful. Thank you. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Chair and board members. Some of you I know, my name's Josh Frost. I am here representing the Reimagining Public Safety in Hawaii Coalition. But in a former life, I was a member and chair of this very esteemed board. So it's good to see the folks that I recognize, and happy to see lots of new folks this evening. Thanks for giving us some of your time. Can you go to the next slide? Or do I have control of it? Oh, there it is. So just a little bit. So the Reimagining Public Safety Coalition is a diverse group of individuals and organizations, all advocating towards the same goal of a better approach and a more holistic and common sense approach to public safety in Hawaii. And you can see some of the organizations that are involved in the coalition there. Next slide, please. And that's just a picture of just some of the folks that are participating in the coalition with us. So yeah, next slide. So as we're talking about public safety here in Hawaii, why does it feel like in the current climate that drugs and drug use and mental illness and homelessness and crime are on the rise? Next slide. So there's a number of reasons. One is there is a legitimate public health and housing crisis, not only here on Oahu, but across all the islands. Next slide. Some of the other main causes, in addition to the public health and housing, is severe shortage of affordable housing, which I think everyone's aware of, severe shortage of mental health and drug treatment facilities. As severe as the shortage is here on Oahu, on the neighbor islands, it's even more severe. There are neighborhoods on the neighbor islands where they have no access to mental health and no access to drug treatment facilities. I think we all are aware that the cost of living is getting beyond the reach of a lot of Hawaii residents, and wages aren't keeping up with the cost of living and current rates of inflation. And we've seen in the last 5 years a rapid increase in poverty, which also leads to increases in homelessness, which can also lead to drug abuse and rise in mental illness. And you can see 41% of households in Hawaii are below the threshold for financial survival, which basically means if one major crisis, 41% of households don't have money in savings to cover, replacing an appliance or getting a car repair. So this is a very serious problem. Next slide, please. So as we go on, you're going to hear talk about the jail, and if you follow the news at all, I'm sure you've heard about it. And I just wanted to quickly just explain the difference between jails versus prisons. In Hawaii, there is one unified prison and jail system controlled or supervised by the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Prison is where you go after you've been convicted and sentenced for a crime. You go to prison. For jail, the vast majority, the overwhelming majority of people in jail, like at the Oahu Community Correctional Center, OCCC, are either short-term sentences or they haven't been convicted of anything. They haven't been tried or convicted of anything, and are just awaiting trial. So you can see there approximately 75% are low-level and nonviolent offenders or charged offenders. And again, the majority are awaiting trial and simply cannot afford their bail. And each person who is housed in a jail or prison costs the state $112,000 a year. As you'll hear Liam explain a bit, we can do a lot better with that money than put people in jail and prison. Next slide, please. And incarceration is a vicious cycle. It is a massive disruption to not only the lives of the people who are put into jail or prison, but also their family members. If the person who's awaiting trial is the primary breadwinner, then that person's family could end up homeless, only exacerbating the problem that exists. Child support, the person in jail can lose their job. Education. This is an endless and vicious cycle. And at least 36% of people in Hawaii's jails are homeless. And I want to highlight this because if you've again been paying attention at all to paying attention all to the news, the director of DCR has said repeatedly that is an incorrect number, but 36% comes directly from data provided by the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Next slide, please. So what is the current approach to public safety? Next slide. I'm going to try to move this along a little bit. In most communities, when police are called, they're not necessarily the ones that should be responding, right? The vast majority of our police, are trying to keep our community safe. And when they're called out to deal with homeless, called out to deal with drug abuse or with people suffering from mental illness, they're not trained to deal with those sorts of crises. And we are not currently funding alternatives, right, to give the police the space and capacity they need to deal with the genuine criminals, the violent offenders in our communities. Next slide. And this is just a quick, people with untreated mental illness are 16 times more likely to be killed by police in interactions with the police. Next slide. And I think we can all agree that, the police are asked to do more, to do too much, and that we need to be spreading out capacity for those people who are genuinely not criminals and shouldn't need to interact with the police and with whom the police shouldn't need to interact. Next slide. So as you can see here, like I was saying, only about 4% of 911 calls involve violent crime, and the majority of police spend time on non-criminal calls and traffic enforcement. And they also have very, very low clearance rates. Next slide. So in conclusion, and there's a mismatch in the way that the government is allocating resources for our communities is a bit out of whack, right? We're spending a lot on police to do jobs they're not trained and equipped to do, while we're not providing nearly enough resources to address chronic homelessness, to address drug abuse, and to address mental illness across the islands. Next. And so Liam will conclude and tell you what we want to do about it.
Yep. And thank you for the extra time. I appreciate it. I'll be quick. Next slide. So housing is healthcare. That's a quote from Governor. And then here's an interesting one. The head of the Department of Corrections of all the jails and prisons says, for people suffering from mental illness, jail is the most expensive, least effective option. That's straight from the guy who runs the jails and prisons in the state. Next slide. I like this little cartoon. How is he supposed to carry all that? You see the police officer, he's got everything on his back from homelessness to every other problem. And the answer is he's not. Next slide. What does it mean to reimagine public safety? Police focus on serious and violent crime. All these other issues we deal with through a reimagined perspective: drug treatment, mental health services. We decriminalize things like sitting on a sidewalk, and instead find people transitional housing and so forth. Next slide. So I just want to tell you very quickly, what is the Reimagined Public Safety Coalition actually doing here in Hawaii? We're the largest public safety focused coalition in the state. We have over a dozen organizations working on these issues. We're trying to expand supportive housing. What does that mean? That means that it's housing that comes with 24-hour mental health services and drug treatment. We're pushing to convert buildings, whether it's a hotel that's gone into disuse. Let's get homeless people off the street as fast as possible, but let's make sure they stay off the street by providing 24-hour services. Also, we need to expand mental health and drug treatment. Hawaii has one of the lowest capacities in the country in terms of meeting the need. And that is why you see so many people on the street and so many issues. There's just not enough places for people to get treatment. So we need to invest significant new state and county money. Mobile crisis response, that's probably one of my favorite. Instead of sending the police to a low-level nonviolent call, say it's a homeless guy yelling in the street, you send a crisis responder and an EMT. And we have a program called CORE in Honolulu that just started. It's really exciting, but it's not permanent. And at the moment, it's varying a little bit from the proven model. We can talk about more about that later. But the idea is it really works, and it frees up police significantly. In Oregon, big cities in Oregon, police, these mobile crisis response are taking 20% of police calls, which is a big deal. Then obviously training for living wages, after school programs, violence interruption, and then restorative justice and ho'oponopono. These are the things that we are driving as a coalition new investments into and trying to expand them so that we can reduce spending on jails and more policing. Next slide. And just what fun fact for you, as Josh said earlier, it costs $112,000 a year to incarcerate someone in Hawaii, but permanent supportive housing, $30,000. That means putting someone in housing here that's permanent with 24 hours. That's a significantly different cost. Next slide. But what does that mean? Here's a fact for you. 50% of people that don't get supportive housing when they come out of jail, 50% go back in. Only 13% go back in when they get supportive housing. This is jail where, again, you saw close to 40% of the jail population is homeless. So we believe in facts and data in this coalition. And that's why we like to put these kind of things forward, just to help educate the public. Next slide. Just a few more to go. What would it look like if we succeed? So you can just hit the space bar a bunch of times. Anybody needing supportive housing gets it. Mobile crisis response 24/7 on all islands. Next. Arrest rate for unhoused drops by 50%. Next. Drug treatment detox centers everywhere. Everyone who needs it gets it. Next. Sufficient community-based short and long-term mental health facilities. All jobs are living wage. Restorative justice hubs on all islands. And most traffic enforcement done by unarmed DOT. There's a myth out there you needed a gun and a badge to do traffic enforcement. It's actually not true. So here's the last thing I want to leave you with. Here's a call to action to folks in Pālolo Neighborhood Board. Join us in asking the state legislature and the city council to stop the proposed $1 billion super jail, which is to replace OCCC. It'd be the most expensive state-funded project in the state's history. And then make historic investments in supportive housing, community-based mental health and substance abuse treatment, youth development, workforce training, and restorative justice. And then last slide is just join us. And sorry, last slide past that is our contact information. I really appreciate you allowing us to share our perspective as a coalition, and check out our Instagram page, and feel free to email me at that if you would like to learn more or potentially join our efforts. Thank you so much, Chair and members of the board. I appreciate you giving us the extra time. And I welcome any questions.
Mahalo, Liam and Jack, for that presentation. Just out of curiosity, how long has the coalition been around?
We started in 2021, but I would say in the last 2 years in particular, we've really grown and ramped up and our presence at the legislature, city council, and so forth. So technically 4 years, but I think our visibility has been more close to 2. So we're somewhat new, but growing rapidly.
And you mentioned in the presentation the mobile crisis.
Yeah, mobile crisis response. Yes.
Yes. Do we currently have those?
Yeah, so we have one
run
program on all the islands. We have one program here in Honolulu, and it's called CORE, C-O-R-E. It's relatively new. It got some federal funding, and what CORE does is, unfortunately, instead of sending a crisis counselor and an EMT together on 911 calls, so basically dispatch gets the call, and if they determine it's nonviolent and it doesn't really need a police officer, they can send the mobile crisis response instead. The issue with CORE is they're only sending an EMT at the moment, and they're not really skilled in crisis de-escalation. If you look at places around the country, Denver, New York, Seattle, they always send a crisis behavioral health worker who goes with an EMT. They're able to talk people off the ledge and get them the help they need. So we do have it is the answer, but it's new, it's underfunded, and it's temporarily funded, and it needs some serious redirection, which we as a coalition are working on. We're providing recommendations to the city.
I did see a picture of I believe some of the staff you mentioned. Can I ask
some of our
how
coalition
much,
members? Yeah.
how much of staff do you folks have currently?
So we are a coalition of, I think at this point, like 15 separate organizations. So that are standalone independent orgs, Project Vision, ACLU, Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction. So It's not actual staff. In fact, I'm the only staff member for the coalition. I facilitate it, but what I do is I bring together all these different entities. We have UH professors, we have neighborhood board members. We have just a wide group of people who do their own thing every day, but they said, I would like to join this larger coalition so we can have a bigger impact. So that's the idea, is have a bunch of independent groups of everyone's co-equal, but we do things together.
I see. I see. Thank you for
Yeah.
explaining that.
Yeah.
My last question is and I might have missed it. You might have already provided this answer, the affordable housing.
Yeah.
Curious. I noticed you did the 30,000 of calculation, wondering how does that individual have to do anything in return, or is it like, I guess my thought is, what if 20 other people are like, oh, 30,000, let's just go that way and want to join into your program, for a cheaper cost of living?
I mean, that's a really good question. So a couple of things. One is, so the state and the county and the federal government actually pay for it. So 30,000 is the cost. That's what it costs them to provide the room and board for these people. The services, the room and the services, not board. So the way it works is, it could be like a group home, or the kauhales that you've seen, the little tiny homes around the city. So that's not quite permanent, but it's closer to it. But most people in there, initially, it's free because they're coming off the street, they're homeless. Once they get services and hopefully get a job, at that point, they start paying a nominal fee up to about $500 a month, usually, to stay there. So it's what we call deeply affordable housing. Because as we know in Hawaii, sometimes they say affordable housing and they're like, yeah, if you make under 60 grand, we'll only charge you 2,700 a month for a 1-bedroom. And everyone's like, well, that's still nuts. So this is for people who are homeless, addicted to substances, suffering from mental illness, that are not going to be able to afford even a couple $1,000s of rent. So you get them in to these units, you give them 24-hour services support, you get them on their feet, and then they start paying a small fee. And hopefully, eventually, they'll transition into their own housing. But this provides, the problem with shelters, Chair, is that typically you can only stay for a couple of weeks and then you're out on the street. So it's just a cycle, and people can't bring their pets, they can't bring their partners, they can't bring their stuff. So the answer, if you were to put me on the spot and say, what would be the one answer I would put $1 billion towards in Hawaii right now that would have the biggest impact? It's permanent supportive housing. Just give people the housing, don't charge them, get them on their feet, get them the mental health care and the substance addiction treatment, and then transition them into working productive citizens. And it's proven to work. As you saw, how many go back to jail versus those who don't get it. So, and again, it costs $112,000 to put someone in jail per year, 30,000. So I as an investor, I want to know I'm getting something for my money. And jail, even if it feels right and good to throw a homeless person in jail and you think that's solving the problem, from a practical standpoint, it's not. They're going to go back to jail 15 times in the next 5 years. So put them in permanent supportive housing is the answer.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that. So in the same way that not everyone can qualify for food stamps, right? Not everyone can qualify for MedQuest, right? So the same with supportive housing, right? It's for people who genuinely need it, and it's not just a free ride for anyone who thinks they can hop on the government gravy train, right? I mean, it's for people who genuinely need services. And I just, to further add to that, I think like everyone here, there's, when you've had a really crappy day, there's nothing better than coming home and sitting on your couch and turning on the TV, right? I mean, just having a place to go that's yours can be the best first step towards thinking that you can actually get through treatment, thinking that you can actually be successful, right? It's provides a completely different mindset for the people who need it than going in and out of a shelter, right? I mean, I've talked to people who won't go to shelters because they can't take their dog, right? Would you leave your house if you couldn't take your dog with you?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it's, you know, it's things like that. It's that supportive that it's my space. This is a place where I live. It's my home that can make all the difference in the world for people who genuinely need it.
Appreciate that. And Randall, I saw you mentioned housing first. That's right. That's a really effective model where you don't make conditions on a drug addicted homeless person like, oh, we won't give you housing until you get off drugs and until you're clear up your mental illness. It's the other way around. It's like get them in a house first so then they can get better. And that's been proven. We like data, our coalition. And I should just say, some members of our coalition provide housing, like Project Vision. They do Kauhales, and some members provide mental health services. But overall, as a coalition, what we're trying to do, to answer Chair's question, as a coalition, is drive more money from the state and the county into the things that work, like supportive, because there's just not enough. The community-based mental health care in Hawaii is so limited. I think Hawaii ranks near the bottom of all 50 states in terms of the amount of people that need mental health care but can't get it. So we're like, hey, let's just put money where we know into things we know work, and then free up police to deal with serious and violent crime. Because as you saw, only 7% in 2022 of crime, and this last year it got a little higher. I think it was 22%. But vast majority of serious crime is not being solved because police are busy dealing with homelessness and drug addiction and all these things they didn't sign up for. So we need to reimagine public safety and start investing in things that work. And that's what we as a coalition are trying to raise awareness and help educate, local and state officials.
Thank you so much for that. Does anyone have any questions online or in public? Tony? Vice Chair?
Oh, you're on mute.
You're mute.
Hi, sorry. Hi.
Oh.
Yes, thank you for coming to present tonight. And I'm able to grasp the mission of your coalition for sure. Just towards the end of the presentation, you asked for our support in opposing the new jail. And as far as your mission about housing first and all of that, is your main concern the capacity, like the higher capacity of the prison? Because I would think that you would agree that it's time to be rehabilitated, or the facilities need to be newer. The jail was built in like 1916 and rehabilitated again in the 80s. But yeah, just wondering your thoughts about that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it, Vice Chair. That's a great question. So, and why is it related to all this? So, first of all, our official position is we agree the conditions are unacceptable at OCCC, and we agree that something needs to be done about it. You cannot continue. It's medieval conditions in there. The concern we have is that so there's a finite amount of money the state has. If they're going to put $1 billion into something, is that going to give you the best return on your investment in terms of public safety? So right now, we showed you the slide that said at least 36% of people in jail right now are homeless. The only reason they're in there is for minor things like sitting on the sidewalk. So let's get them out of jail right away and into services and housing. There's another percentage that's mentally ill, which is what the director of corrections said. Least effective, most expensive option is jail. So our thing is, why would you fund a larger jail than we have now, expanding the bed capacity, if we're already in agreement that at least half to even more of the people sitting in jail today shouldn't be there? So our answer is very simple: shrink, build a new, smaller facility, significantly smaller facility, and that's cheaper. Do not spend $1 billion on a larger facility. Build a small one to replace it, and then put significant amounts of new money into the things we've talked about today. So it's more about budgetary choices and return on investment. Just to summarize, we agree with you. You've got to do something about OCCC. It needs to be fixed. But $1 billion super jail with expanded beds is definitely not only not the only option, it is not a sensible option at all, in our opinion, in terms when you look at who's sitting in jail today and where they could be instead.
I just want to add quickly to that. So, you know, the process to replace OCCC has sort of been in the works for a long time, right? And anyone who's serious about it, you know, points to overcrowding as one of the reasons that the jail needs to be replaced. But neither DCR nor the legislature nor the city and county of Honolulu has done anything to reduce incarceration rates, right? So, you know, I like to, you know, use the quote from Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, right? If they build a jail with expanded capacity, I guarantee you the powers that be will find a way to fill it because they paid for the thing, right? And there are examples on the continent where this happened, right? They built a bigger thing because they thought they needed it, didn't do anything about decarceration, and they ended up filling it to capacity and then had to start the process all over again, right? I also want to point out that the reason that we have roughly 900 people in Arizona is because in the 90s, we faced the exact same crisis, right? Overcrowding in our jails and prisons. And so in 96, the legislature said, okay, we're going to send folks to Arizona as a stopgap, right? As a short-term solution to overcrowding. And here we are, 30 years later, having the very same conversation about overcrowding in our jails and prisons. So our position is genuinely like, if overcrowding is a real issue, then you've got to be serious about addressing the issue. If you build a larger thing because you say you need it, then they're going to fill it. And then we're going to be right back where we started all over again in 20 years.
Hope that makes sense. I think diversion is the answer. Tommy Johnson himself said that the majority of people in jail could be diverted out, meaning instead of going to jail when you pick up a homeless guy, you take him to the behavioral health center, you take them to housing, you take them, and they don't go to jail, right? Let me put it this way: jail has become the place where we warehouse homeless and mentally ill people. And again, in jail is not prison. I know you mentioned prison, but remember Josh's slide in the beginning. The reason I threw that in there is because people mix up jail and prison. Prison is where the bad guys go, who've been sentenced and are felons. That is not jail. Mass majority of people in jail are in there for short-term minor offenses. A lot of them are homeless and mentally ill. Prison is where the felons and sentenced convicts go. Totally different thing. You know, we're not talking about prisons. We're just saying a jail. So we just want to make sure that if people need mental health care, they go to a mental health facility, not jail. And if we don't, and the state just has limited money, and $1 billion is that's a ton of money. So we want to make sure it goes. I put in the chat an article in Civil Beat from one of our coalition members, just that will summarize it. But happy to keep talking to you guys more about it, and you too, Andrew, because we're open to your feedback, and we want to partner with all the neighborhood boards on the island. I am a former Eva Beach neighborhood board member, so I appreciate what you all are doing, and we're here to be partners with you, and we're here to listen too. We're not right about everything.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Board Member Hack? You wanna
Yes,
try it
you,
again?
can you hear me?
Oh, there
Can
you
you hear me
go.
now?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
so sorry. Um, Under workforce training, I highly recommend the CIT training for the police officers, and so they can better deal with emotionally disturbed individuals, especially on the continent, and even here, people have been shot and killed because the police are not trained to deal with such situations. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much, Raul. Yeah, we agree. And one of our coalition members is actually providing that training to HPD and on the Big Island. Hawaii Health and Harm Reduction has been given CIT training. The only issue is only 20% of them have received it, and a lot of them don't want it. It's voluntary. So we got to make it mandatory. Yeah, it's interesting. You'll talk. When I talk to the cops, I'm like, "What's your view on CIT?" They're like, "Well, when a call comes in, we're like, send the CIT guy." And I was like, "Well, why don't all of you have crisis intervention training? Wouldn't that be great instead of it being like a special thing?" So work to be done, but you're absolutely right. We want to work at that, but ultimately the goal is to not send police to calls that don't require a gun and a badge. If it's someone having a mental health crisis and they're sitting on the side of the street and they're unarmed, better to send a behavioral health specialist who's done it for years instead of a week-long training. That's the ultimate goal. Having said that, we do agree cops should still have that training.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much, Randolph.
Mahalo for that. Anyone else that has a question or feedback, concern? Okay. Thank you again, Josh and Liam, for that presentation. We'll definitely be in touch. Oh,
Yeah,
phone.
invite us back. Happy to be with you.
Okay. Mahalo. Next presentation we have up for trees for Pālolo. Updates from Dan.
Oh, good.
Dan Donnell.
Hi, Chair. Dan Donnell with Trees for Honolulu's Future. Great to be back. It was 6 months ago, March, when I last gave the update to the board. So let me just share my screen. And well, it's good to go back to the basics, which is what are we setting out to accomplish in this Trees for Pālolo initiative. One is to increase the number of trees to capitalize on the benefits that they provide. The second one is food security and community resilience, and great follow-on to the previous presentation here. If we can provide more food for people and so forth, it provides just a more cohesive community. And third is to leverage, bring resources in, and foster sustainable stewardship for the future. Because our grant money is going to run out. We want to make sure that we've embedded things that are going to allow the Pālolo community to continue on. So this is just some pictures to share from Tree Planting and Earth Day. Thanks to community support as well as the City Department of Parks and Recreation, planted 10 trees at the Pālolo District Park. In the center is Reverend Fujimori from the Pālolo Honganji gave the blessing, and which I thought was really fun. And then it was actually picked up by the midweek. And that's the picture you see here. So it's not just about planting the trees, it's about taking care of them. Upper left is a picture of the community forester for the city division of urban forestry. And we put up signs that community Pālolo residents painted because people often look at a tree and go, wow, what kind of tree is that? So there in the bottom right, Lona Mea, which is a tree actually only found on Oahu and Kauai. So a really neat way to communicate. And it's only a temporary, kind of installation, if you will. But if you go by the park, you'll see it. And I think it really gets to be a lot of fun here. I want to stress, and I'll throw it in the chat after I finish here as well. Get involved. This is our email address. And looking ahead, just to give you a sense of what's coming down the pike, Olivia Pulabosian, she's a Pālolo resident. She is aboard as the project coordinator. She and I are meeting next week with the City Division of Urban Forestry to discuss food sustainability, which links to the resolution this board passed last November about community gardens. So more to come on that. And then Olivia and I are also looking at how to put perhaps some classes together on how to propagate your own fruit trees. And because in our experience, those are extremely popular, ulu, lemon, mango, things like that, that people could plant on their own property and grow. So more to come on that, and happy to answer any questions here. And I will stop sharing and see if there's any questions.
Mahalo, Dan. Thank you so much for that update. And yes, those trees in Pālolo District Park are beautiful. Thank you. I love the signs too as well.
And if you don't, with the chair's indulgence, if there's no questions, since I probably still have a few minutes left, I would like to share a little bit about exceptional trees, just 4 or 5 slides, because sadly, Pālolo has none on the official registry. And, you know, we need your help. We know there's exceptional trees in Pālolo. And I just wanted to talk a moment about that program. If that's okay with you, Chair.
That's okay. Thank you.
Okay, so let me just share. It's a different presentation, but it's all related. Exceptional Tree Program, it's been around. Are you ready for this? 50 years this year. So it's, and I'll give you just a quick overview, the criteria and so forth. And so again, 50 years ago, 1975, the second bullet point's really important and interesting. It provides that you get a tax deduction for the cost of tree trimming maintenance. It's not a lot of money, and it's not every year, but it's $3,000 every 3 years. So it's just a nice way, but it only really benefits personal taxes. It doesn't impact businesses and, of course, nonprofits or government. The Mayor's Arborist Advisory Committee, which I serve on, approves the tree nominee. We review them and approve them. And there's 1,400 exceptional trees across the entire state. So this is a state program, but it's administered at the county level. These are the criteria. So historical or cultural value, age, rarity, location, size, aesthetic quality, and the endemic status. And there's a QR code here, and I'll drop the email in the chat as well, where the nomination forms go. Some of the things that you must do if your tree is accepted and becomes an exceptional tree is the pruning must be done by a qualified arborist. So you just can't, you know, hire Joe Landscaping to cut. And the urban forestry actually issues a permit for that. And the tree is protected no matter what happens to the property. So you could sell your property, it's still an exceptional tree. They cannot be removed unless the city determines that there's an immediate risk. And just in closing here, this is why I wanted to bring it up. You can see on Oahu, there's a concentration in Wahiawa and Central Oahu. This is Manoa, downtown Waikiki. There's a bunch in Kailua, Kaneohe. But as I mentioned before, 0 in Pālolo Valley. And that's just something that we really, it's actually part of our grant. We said, we're gonna get at least one, and I want your help. So if anybody, you know, even if you don't know who owns the tree, feel free to reach out to me, and I'll help, you know, kind of facilitate and so forth. But there are some nice trees in Pālolo. We would love to, you know, go from 0 to 1. So with that, happy to answer any questions about trees for Pālolo. Happy to answer any questions about exceptional trees. And also want to note Olivia, our new project coordinator, she's online. She's actually calling in from the continent. So that's how dedicated she is, but she is a Pālolo resident. So thank you, Olivia, for joining us. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. Board Member Hack.
Yes, I noticed that in Waianae there are no exceptional trees. Because it's very dry there. Are there exceptional trees that can survive in that dry area?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they're you know, I'm not from Waianae, but have spent time there. They're beautiful trees there that are appropriate for that climate. So it's not a question of rainfall or other things. It's a question of really, does it meet one of those 8 criteria? It doesn't have to meet every one of those.
Mhm.
And I think it's a awareness, and we are outreaching to the parts of the island that are that don't have representation. So yeah, absolutely. The other thing we'd love to see is more variety. For instance, right now there's a lot of monkey pod and Chinese banyans on the list. They're great trees, but they're not the only trees around. And the board and the public would be surprised. There's not a single hala tree on the exceptional tree list. And hala is a wonderful tree, grows all around the island. We would love to see a hala tree. We'd love to see other species, and that is one of the criteria. So yeah, good question. I'm glad you noticed the dearth on the west side. But Pālolo has a dearth and you have a fair amount of rain.
Mhm.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions or concerns online in public? All right. Thank you so much, Dan, for your time.
Thank you, and we'll be back to provide additional updates, and really appreciate your support, the board's support, and we'll continue to work hard to make good things happen for Pālolo.
We appreciate that a lot. Thank you. Now we're moving on to resident community concerns. Okay. Elected officials, Congressman Ed Case. City Council Member Scott Nishimoto.
Hi, everyone. Chair, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you so
Okay,
much for joining
perfect.
us.
Yeah, of course. Kylie here from Councilmember Nishimoto's office. Just wanted to let you all know, I'm sure Rep. Sayama will mention this as well, but we're hosting another park cleanup at Azama Park. It's going to be happening not this weekend, but next weekend, the 18th, from 9:30 to 11:30. So please join us if you can. I'm going to put all the info in the chat. And that's all I have on our end. I'll also put the link to our e-blast as well. But if there's any questions, comments, concerns, I'm happy to take them back to council member.
Kylie, is it okay if we do a checkup on the Pālolo Park Lights project?
Yes, I can do that for sure.
Okay, awesome. I know that we were working with but I believe he moved into another office. And then the question I guess I had was the planning part of the
Oh, okay.
courts.
Okay, yeah, I can double check on that for you. So that's the court
Specifically,
lighting
yes,
project. Okay,
specifically
yeah, I can
the tennis courts.
tennis courts. Okay, yeah, I can double check that for you and I'll get back to you folks.
We're wondering if that was already started. If not, if we can, I guess, talk about that one.
Okay, yeah, sure. I
Okay.
can get an update for you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone else?
Chair.
Oh, Keenan. Board member.
Hi,
Keenan. Hi.
I'm just following up. There was a woman who's been from the community a few times about the albizia trees that have been coming up along I think she was on Narcissus Road. The last time that we were in session, not in August, I think that Councilmember Nishimoto was with us. Was at the meeting, and I just wanted to make sure that that connection was made. I think they had reached out, and I just wanted to see if there was any progress on what her concern was. Just kind of voicing that on her behalf.
Yeah, so I was able to, I've been working with her and I was able to connect with her. I put in a riser request. So it's in the works and I'm following up So we've been in contact with her, and if there's any major updates, I'll definitely be sure to share that with you folks. Thanks for following up on that.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. She, half joking, I think she threatened to dump all of the seed pods around the meeting the next time, and so I just definitely wanted to make sure that was taken care of.
Yeah, no, appreciate you following up. Yeah, we've been in contact, so no worries. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you.
Mahalo for that. Anyone else? Okay. Thank you so much, Kylie.
Thank you.
All
Thank you,
right.
Kylie.
Now we have Mayor Rick Blangiardi's representative from office, DPP office.
Hello. Sit on. Hello. Okay. Thanks for having me, Chair, board members. I'm Regina Malipai on behalf of the Mayor's office. I only have one announcement. The Honolulu Charter Commission is conducting its once a decade review of the city charter, which is the Honolulu's constitution. So community members are invited to submit proposals by November 7th. The commission will also be holding community meetings in October. So hopefully we can get the dates and times and locations on the Charter Commission website, or you can check out that website. We encourage everyone to participate in this important once a decade process. Yeah, so that's one of the main announcements I think that is very important for community members. And I only have one follow-up issue, and I think it's been ongoing. So it looks like we got a little more information. For context, a resident ran into issues reporting abandoned vehicles on Hina Hina and Maluhia. And the questions were residents would like to know how they can request for road repairs or abandoned vehicles on private roads, specifically on Hina Hina and Maluhia. Who are the owners for both private roads, and what are the current regulations and responsibilities for those private road owners? So we got a response from the Department of Facilities Maintenance. Private roads that qualify and have been accepted for city maintenance in accordance with revised ordinances of Honolulu, Article 14-17, which you can find if you want to read the fine print online. Just search ROH Article 14-17. And so basically, for any maintenance of private streets and roads, you can request road repairs via the Honolulu 311 app. Or you can email to dfmroads@honolulu.gov. And we also have a phone number, but 768-7777. Hina Hina Street and Maluhia Street are maintained by DFM. And abandoned vehicles are addressed by the city's Department of Customer Service. Hopefully we can provide this whole write-up because it's super long, so you guys can have that information and relay it to everyone. A service request has been initiated for city road repair for a crew to investigate the potholes on those two streets. DFM does not have information on private road owners, neither does DDC, or Department of Design and Construction. And for private roads that qualify and have been accepted for city maintenance, the city provides service maintenance of the pavement area with in-kind materials. If the pavement is asphalt, the repairs would be asphalt. If the repairs is gravel, they would use gravel for the repairs. And for major subsurface defects such as sinkhole on a private road maintained by the city, the private owners of the road are responsible for the repairs. And for private roads not maintained by the city, the private road owners are responsible also for maintenance and repairs. DDC further suggests we or further suggest procuring the services of a title company to determine ownership of the private property if that's what they're trying to find. So that's, I guess, more details from the other times we've asked the same question. So, but if you have any further questions on that particular issue, let us know, and I'm here for any other questions.
Board Member Hack?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I see you. Okay. When is the rate commission going to publish the fares for the bus and the Skyline for this coming year? And could you keep us posted on that, especially if there are any major changes proposed?
Yep, definitely. We'll get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Mahalo. Board Member Keenan?
Sorry, I think that was up from the prior session.
Oh, okay. Got it. I don't. That's it. We're okay. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, guys.
Thank you for the updates. And then do we have Governor Josh Green's representative online? Okay. And then Representative Jackson Sayama regrets that he could not make it tonight, but he did mention the park cleanup that we hope that everyone can join in on the October 18th, as Kylie had mentioned. And then Senator Leslie Hara. Okay. Announcements for next meeting. We have our next meeting is November 12th, which is Wednesday. Same time, 7 p.m. here at Pālolo Elementary and online via WebEx. We also have the Koki Frogs and Coconut Rhinoceros Beetles presentation, why they matter to our kupuna. So there's definitely a special presentation going on next month. Pālolo Chinese Home presents a special community education session in partnership with Hawaii Department of Agriculture and Biosecurity, Oahu Invasive Species Committee, and the Pālolo Neighborhood Board to educate the Pālolo community on what efforts are being done to address these invasive species. Pālolo Chinese Home will be presenting refreshments for attendees. Please confirm your attendance, RSVP by emailing to events@palolohome.org or scanning the QR code on the flyer, which is in the Google Drive. And then last but not least, Olelo rebroadcasts, Pālolo board meetings are scheduled each month. Olelo Channel 49 for Thursday at 9 p.m. and Sundays at 12.
So Chair, if I may add, hopefully we're going to fill up the cafeteria with the meeting, because we are marketing the meeting very vastly. So just be prepared. Hopefully the board members can be present in the meeting room. That would be great.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Everyone hear that online? Nudge, nudge. Thank you so much, Darlene.
You're welcome.
Is there any other questions or concerns?
No.
It's okay. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.